Get ready with me for dinner while I talk about seasoning. Yes, seasoning. Seasoning when you're cooking and in the kitchen refers to all of those things that add flavor into your food or enhance the flavor of something. The problem is, when most people think about seasoning, they tend to think about salt, and that's because salt really is one of those key parts of seasoning. When food has a lack of salt, it's something that's very, very noticeable, but that's not to say that salt is the only type of seasoning that we have available to us. Remember what I said about seasoning being about enhancing and building flavor? Think about your taste buds. When you think about taste, aside from salty, we also have sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. So there's 5. Those are all tools that you have available to you when you're building flavor in a dish, aside from just making something saltier. So when you think about sweet, think your sugar, your honey, your maple, flavors like that. And the goal here isn't necessarily to make your food sweet, but it's another element that you can add to balance your dish. And the funny thing about food is that these are all things that you would probably be doing anyways, but you're not realizing it. Think about it. When you're following a recipe and you have to start with the onions and then cook that down, you're actually bringing out the natural sweetness of that onion. When you talk about sour, think acidity. The goal here isn't necessarily to make your food sour, but it is another way to bring out the flavor of the food. So I'm talking your lemons, your limes, your vinegars. There's a whole world of acid, and I actually have a whole YouTube video about this because I think that acidity is one of those things that as home cooks, a lot of us just don't rely on at all, but it will change your food a lot if you just think about, how can I add acid here if it fits? So in the same vein that sugar in a savory dish is not there to make the dish necessarily sweet, something like lemons or other types of acid just is another way to balance a dish and add brightness. As for bitter, that is something that I will say I don't typically lean on or look to add that into a dish, but there are bitter foods that people enjoy. Think about your leafy greens, arugula, radicchio, Brussels sprouts. Those are foods with natural bitterness in them that we still actually enjoy. As for that 5th flavor, now we're talking about umami, which you can do by adding MSG, but there are also foods that naturally have this occurring. Think about your Parmesan, think about anchovies, think about tomatoes, which are really heavy in MSG. And if you don't know what umami is that feeling. It has kind of this very savory meatiness to it. It's just that that's the best way that I can explain it. Time for my favorite step, blush. But I do want to know though, aside from salt, what are you guys' favorite ingredients to lean on for building flavor and seasoning? Mine definitely has to be acid these days. Gonna blend out the rest of the face.
The same way a great look starts from the shower all the way through the accessories is the same way a great meal is built from layers of different flavors. I'll go more in depth on each of these later, but until then, save this video